Mountaineer Nation has been eagerly anticipating the news of West Virginia adding transfers rather than losing them. Well, that news has finally arrived. Let's go. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Jordan Cruz back here with the Country Roads Webcast. And before I get into the video, I just wanted to give you guys a quick reminder, if you would, do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button right there. Give us a like on this video. It'll really help its performance and help future videos performances here on the channel. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer sports content out to Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, let's get into it. All right, so we know West Virginia has lost 14 scholarship players to the transfer portal this offseason, and many have been asking, as I've been sharing with you guys, some scholarship offers that West Virginia has sent to players in the transfer portal, why no one has committed to the Mountaineers via that transfer portal. Well, finally, we do have a couple of commitments, actually both coming from the same program, coming from Kent State, one on the offensive side and one on the defensive side, a wide receiver and a defensive back, which the most positive part of this news is that is the two positions that West Virginia really needs to add bodies to, is the wide receiver room and the cornerback room. West Virginia has added a player to each of those rooms, so that's a plus for the Mountaineers. Let's take a look here at the graphic that I've been showing you guys throughout the offseason, because we ultimately did have one more transfer out in the past recent days. As you may have heard there, I said 14 and not 13. Of course, it was 13 with Jordan Jefferson, but now we are sitting at 14 scholarship players to leave the Mountaineers this offseason, as you see here. Offensive lineman Chris Mayo, the latest departure for the Mountaineers, a reserve offensive lineman, had not seen any game action extensively, but was a four-star recruit coming in, so a player that was believed to have a lot of potential. Believe he had reached second string on the depth chart at one point throughout this season, but nonetheless decides to enter the portal and continue his playing career elsewhere, becoming the 14th West Virginia Mountaineer to enter the portal, as you see the names there that have entered so far this offseason. But we do now finally have a transfers in list here. As you can see, the two transfers in for the Mountaineers are wide receiver Ja'Shaun Poke from Kent State and defensive back Montre Miller, also from Kent State. So let's take a second here and learn a little bit more about each one of these transfer players that West Virginia has gained commitment from in the recent days. All right, so starting here on the defensive side, this is the one that I'm most excited about, because West Virginia really needs players at the cornerback position. We saw last year the transfers West Virginia added at the cornerback position did not pan out in the way that they had hoped. West Virginia really struggled in the secondary, so West Virginia really needs to add some talented players at the defensive back position, and they're hoping that Montre Miller from Kent State can help alleviate those issues and be a better addition to the Mountaineers for 2023 than some of the transfers they added at the defensive back position last offseason. Let's scroll through here. As you see the graphic he shared there on his social media, coming from his Twitter there, which you can find there if you see the Twitter handle at @newera_6, Roman numeral wise there. Miller is a graduate student who will have 1 year of eligibility remaining. The corner is 5'10", 179 pounds. Last season for Kent State, Miller recorded 52 tackles, also tallied 2 interceptions, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, and broke up 8 passes. So those are pretty good numbers, especially with the pass breakups. But I also saw a tweet that really stood out to me in regards to Montre Miller. I'll throw it up on the screen for you guys right now. As you can see, this coming from Next Gen Prospect on Twitter at NextGen_PR. Montre Miller's speed, as you see there, says Montre Miller can bring much needed speed and discipline into someone's secondary. As you see, 10.66 in the 100 meters and 21.78 in the 200 meters. That's pretty dang fast, especially, West Virginia needs some speed there at that position. But what really stood out to me here, as you see, the guy has played 898 snaps at cornerback and has committed 0 penalties. That's pretty impressive. And as you see there, 81 overall defensive grade, according to PFF, for the cornerback Montre Miller. So hopefully, potentially, he could be a great addition for the Mountaineers, and fingers crossed that things pan out for him, because West Virginia really needs some good players there in that secondary. It appears he has speed and is a disciplined player, nearly 900 snaps with no penalties. So hopefully he can continue that, because West Virginia could use that. As we saw, they are the most penalized team in the Big 12 this past season. So cutting down on that could help as well. So hopefully Montre Miller proves to be a big addition. And then also one of his teammates will also be joining the Mountaineers. Let's take a look at him. All right, and as you can see, also coming from Kent State, on the other side of the football at the wide receiver position, Ja'Shaun Poke committed to the Mountaineers as well. As I scroll down here to see his commitment announcement that he announced on Instagram. Actually, there, as you see Ja'Shaun Poke on Instagram, there's the graphic that he shared when he committed to the Mountaineers as well, coming from the Kent State Golden Flashes. Poke is a veteran wideout, already has 4 years of college football under his belt at Kent State. Last season in 2022, 31 receptions for 362 yards and caught a touchdown. So I think what you're adding here with Ja'Shaun Poke, really, for West Virginia, in my opinion, is you're adding some experience, which I think you need because you're not going to have a lot of it at the position. Really, West Virginia is left right now with two junior college guys, so they don't have a lot of experience at this level. Just this past season with Jeremiah Aaron and Cortez Braham. And then you have all young guys below them. You're going to have Jarrell Williams, who is only going to be a redshirt freshman. You're going to have two true freshmen in Traylon Ray and Rodney Gallagher. And then you're going to have, former walk-ons in Grayson Malashevich and Preston Fox, who maybe know a little bit, but they don't have that much experience themselves as well. So I think Ja'Shaun Poke, you get a veteran presence in that room, and that can really help the wide receivers a lot. And I think that maybe that's what West Virginia is thinking with bringing in such a veteran player with 4 years of playing experience already. I know statistically his numbers aren't that great, but I think they maybe think that he can be a voice in that room for some of these younger guys that they're really going to have to mold and have contribute early. When you think about Rodney Gallagher and possibly even Traylon Ray, Jarrell Williams, names like that, young guys that are going to have to see the field for the Mountaineers pretty early in their careers, as West Virginia's wide receiver room is pretty decimated this offseason, losing a couple guys to graduation and the other two top contributors to the transfer portal in Reese Smith and Caden Prather. So bringing in Ja'Shaun Poke, I think, is a good move for the Mountaineers overall. Get that veteran presence in the room and add numbers to a position where you desperately need it there at the wide receiver position. So there you have it, the first two transfers to commit to West Virginia football for the 2023 season, both coming from the same school in Kent State, a defensive back in Montre Miller and a wide receiver in Ja'Shaun Poke, as well as Chris Mayo, a West Virginia offensive lineman, entering the transfer portal as well. What are you guys thinking about this? What are your thoughts on the addition of Ja'Shaun Poke and Montre Miller? Which one of those two do you think will help the Mountaineers the most in 2023, if either? What are your thoughts on Chris Mayo leaving, and what are your thoughts in general on what West Virginia is doing this offseason via the transfer portal and some of the players they've offered, and now a couple players committing there? Anything you want to respond to there, let us know in the comments. We always appreciate the engagement as we continue to try and grow the Country Roads Webcast community throughout Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, as always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.